when you lose a game
That you were winning.
to the Denver Broncos,
You were winning by 1 point with 90 seconds left.
but you were losing the whole game.
Yeah.
You got gifted 2 missed extra points. You got gifted a missed field goal, only to find out you have 12 men on the field.
Well, you're skipping one part. Russell Wilson throws a pass to Ron Johnson, gets pass interference, and that moves them even closer. So that was, here it goes.
Game's over.
You're starting to feel like, they're going to unravel right here. So they go closer for the field goal now, and 12 men on the field, like 2 bonehead plays at the end of this game. They deserve to lose.
I mean, the first one, I get the pass interference because it was underthrown. The guy's coming back to the ball. It was just a real tough break for the Bills. Like, oh, man, definite pass interference. But
yeah, it was, but you can't be on them like that.
Yeah, it was
the end of the game.
Yeah. So now you're like, wow, that PI put them in like automatic field goal range. Then when you get the gift
that was a Magnum PI.
When you get the gift, my friends, of wide right, only to find out there's 12 men on the field, that is going to come back and haunt this team, and I'll tell you why. Because now they are 5-5. 5-5 with 7 games to go. And if you'll indulge me for a minute, because I said this the other day, I said, this is, you lose this game tonight, it's lights out. I said yesterday, Buffalo might be a little fugazi. Sometimes this happens with good teams. You have a couple good years where you're close, and those stars are still on your team, and stars attract stars. You got some stars on your team, so you assume every year you'll be close. And I don't think Buffalo is. I don't think they are. We keep making
they're not consistent.
You know what it is? We keep making excuses. I'll compare it to a fight back in the day. You always bring up a great analogy, which is when we watched Mike Tyson lose to Buster Douglas when we were kids. The whole fight, you weren't watching Buster Douglas whoop Tyson's ass. You were watching, Tyson's going to turn it around any minute now.
Yeah, you're just waiting for Mike Tyson to unload and knock him out.
Oh, Tyson will fix the game plan.
And that never happened.
I felt that way when Tyson Fury was fighting Ngannou. I was like, wow, Ngannou came to fight. All right, Tyson Fury will turn it around.
When you watch those fights back, what you notice is Buster Douglas was whooping his ass the whole time.
Yeah, you're watching from the wrong angle.
Right. Perspective.
And the wrong angle and perspective we're watching the Buffalo Bills from is since New England fell apart, when Brady left and that team, and when that franchise and dynasty took a step back, it was Buffalo's division. And the perspective we're watching from is, well, it's clear Buffalo is just going to be in the mix, Super Bowl contenders every year. We're looking from the perspective of, all right, it's a matter of time. When's Buffalo going to turn it around? When I'm telling you right now, that turnaround's not happening.
Yeah, when's Josh Allen going to make things happen?
Yeah, when's Tyson going to change the game plan against Buster Douglas? When's Josh Allen going to really click? Well, they fired their offensive coordinator. I don't even know if that's enough, but right now, instead of being 6-4, they're 5-5. And again, let me go over the remaining 7 games just real quick.
Well, this is why
last night
Rich
was so
said yesterday, well, why last night was so important, but why Rich said they're not going to make the playoffs because not only did they lose yesterday, but their schedule moving forward is pretty tough.
Danny, we talked about the crowded AFC. The whole North is over 500. From the Ravens to the Browns to the Steelers to the Bengals, they're all over 500. Your West is battling hard.
Yeah, that really did feel like the Bills' season last night.
Yeah, and as Yogi Berra says, it's getting late early. We're in week 11 now.
Josh Allen had his hands on his.
Figure it out.
Josh Allen had his hands on his cheeks like Kevin McAllister in Home Alone. Like, oh,
seriously, like, we established here by week 6, you know where your team stands. We're heading into week 11.
And
we're into the season now, so yeah, this counts.
Right now, you've played 10 of your 17. You got 7 left. If you go 4-3, that leaves you at 9-8. If you go 5-2, you're 10-7. Those records might be enough to maybe sneak into the postseason, but let me tell you who the Bills are playing and why last night was so important. Because I'm one of those guys that looks way ahead. It's just I've always been that way. Let me look what's happening. I'm the guy that would look past a bad team and lose every time.
Well, before you go over the schedule, the remaining schedule for the Bills here, Covino and Rich on Fox Sports Radio, you mentioned perspective, right? And how we're waiting for Josh Allen to make something happen, for them to turn the game around, for them to be the Bills we expect them to be, for them to be consistent for once. Perspective-wise, too, we also have to remember that the Broncos have been playing a lot better. And they're doing what we had expected them to do as well. You know, as Colin Cowherd said, stars attract stars. No, he said it today, how Sean Payton came to fix Russell Wilson. He's not the Russell Wilson that he was, but he is playing better. So we can't take away from their 2 big wins in the past few weeks and how they're turning it around.
You're at the point of the season now.
They're 4-5 now.
You're at the point of the season now where there were teams that started out like hot trash that turned it around. So, well, are they really hot trash anymore? Like
right.
Denver's better than we thought. Minnesota was 1-4. Now they're 5-4.
Maybe
so
they're better than we thought.
It's a change of perspective because here we are 2/3 of the way into the season.
So, yeah, the Bills lost is my point, but maybe they lost to a pretty decent team.
A team that is right under 500.
Yep.
And could make a push.
And
we
could be
don't
turning
know.
it around. They could be turning it around.
Right? So let me show you where the Buffalo Bills are headed. And Danny, Big Papa, Dan Byer, if anyone wants to chime in, please do, because
I love it when you call him Big Papa.
I know.
Yeah.
At 5-5, the Bills play at home against the Jets. You'd imagine that's a bounce back game. So now, can we all agree maybe we put the Bills then at 6-5?
Yeah.
Fair, right? I mean, I think you have to win. Then you play at Philadelphia.
That's an L.
That's an L. Now you're 6-6. So you come off of your game in Philly.
They're high-key taking the L on that one.
And then, after playing the Eagles, maybe it gets easier. Then you go to Arrowhead and you play the Chiefs.
Uh-oh.
That's an L, I think. So now you're 6-7. You play the Cowboys. Give them the win because you got to think maybe they win one of these. Now you're 7-7, right? But that's not even a given. The Cowboys
That's a tough game, yeah.
are a better team.
They're a tough team.
Then you play the Chargers all the way out west. So you got to go across the country and play the Chargers. You think that you'll give them that one, right? Maybe 8-7. But that's not even a guarantee. You play the Patriots, you win. Now you're 9-7. You play at the Dolphins. You might lose. I think this team is staring at 9-8, and last night's 12-man on the field.
That was horrible.
Might be the difference,
That was
Danny.
the weakest.
In fact, not might. I'll proclaim it right now. Let me look right at the camera so you can see this on our great clips
Broncos
at Spots
missed
Posts.
a field goal. You had 12 men on the field. That's embarrassing.
That 12th man on the field is going to be
Aikman counted him out.
with his great little teleprompter. As Peyton Manning on the Peyton cast was silent for 2 minutes straight because he couldn't believe what he was seeing.
Well, that's like Bush League sort of mistakes.
It's like
on a Monday night
you know what
game,
it's like?
That's weak.
It's like when a
dude.
team has 4th and short and you know they're doing a hard count to try to get you to jump.
Yeah.
And you're like, the team jumped. What morons. I feel like that was it.
I texted you guys the most embarrassing part, to lose like that and then watch Will Lutz get lifted up and carried off the field.
After having an awful game.
Yeah, and he was the reason why, or one of the reasons why, the placeholder as well, that the Broncos were losing by a couple of points.
Right.
And then he actually misses what should have been the kick. And it was amazing to see them celebrating with him being lifted up.
Let me tell you, mark my words. I'll say it now, and we'll remember. Mark the date, November 14th, when the Buffalo Bills go 9-8 and miss the postseason by this much. It's gonna be because of that 12th man on the field. 10-7 will make the playoffs. 9-8, I don't think will.
I just wanted to clear the dance floor because you have been waiting for 2 minutes to make this proclamation to that camera. about you wanted to say it to mark it down to tell
Yes.
Elijah to tell the world.
Yes.
At that
Mark
point,
it.
so I was just trying to clear the dance floor so Rich could have his 10 seconds to make his proclamation.
My proclamation. I guess I
Dan,
was.
if you wanted to clear the dance floor, just do that worm that you do. Do your
the
patented worm.
Yeah. Buyer wants to do the robot. Everyone move aside.
Dan's doing the Cabbage Patch.
Oh,
Wah, wah.
well.
I can do the
Buy-
Jackson Mahomes.
Wow. Who knew
Yes,
Dan Byer
yeah.
knew the slick
Oh,
back?
there goes Dan with the running man again.
But Dan, there is some likelihood that 9-8 misses, 10-7 makes the playoffs, and it could. I know you can't say one player, one thing. It's like if your baseball team misses the wild card by a
Yep.
game, you could say, well, there was 60, 70 games you could have won. But in football, you're dealing with 17 games, and when you win a game and, it's called back because of a 12th man on the field, that could be the difference between a 10-7 and 9-8 season.
I do believe that Buffalo plays to the level of their competition. That's my devil's advocate of this. I think they get up for games against the Eagles and the Chiefs. I don't know if they're going to win them. So as you and Covino are going through the schedule, every time I'm thinking to myself, well, they actually maybe could win that
step
game.
up,
But
Miami
that's the problem with them, though, is that it shouldn't be like maybe what team is going to show up. And that's why they're in this position in the first place. So shame on me for thinking that things would actually go right for them, considering this is who they are. The Bill Parcells, you are what your record says you are. And I think that this game 100% will point to the fact, if they don't make the playoffs, this is going to be the one that you're going to circle. It's not going to be maybe a loss to the Eagles or the loss in London to the Jaguars. It's not even going to be the week one when Aaron Rodgers is knocked out and you turn the ball over a bunch of times against the Jets. It's this one at home against the Broncos team that you just felt was very, very beatable.
I love what you said, Dan, because you are what your record is, right? And the reality is, I'll make an analogy.
Reality is they're 5-5.
The analogy is sometimes it's a weird analogy. Sometimes you go on a date with someone. You're hooking up with, you think you're getting with some hot girl.
Mm-hmm.
She has a reputation. She's popular. If you remember in college, she's hot on campus. Everyone likes her. Then you get with her and you're like, yeah, this isn't as good as I thought it would be. Because the bells and whistles confuse you into thinking, this is going to be better than it was.
It's the fajita theory. All sizzle, no substance.
Yeah, it's like
an empty fajita.
You go to a Mexican restaurant. What do you say? Someone walks by with a sizzling.
Ooh, I got to have some of that.
And you're like,
And then you see it, and there's really nothing on them.
It's like 3 pieces of
Skillet.
steak,
Yeah.
two
It's all onions.
Yeah, it's all onions.
all
I know.
onions, 2 pieces of chicken.
Man, I was fooled.
Don't be fooled by
So
the
you're
fajita.
fooled by the sizzle of Josh Allen and what the Bills are supposed to be.
The sizzle
but really,
of-
they're playing like an empty fajita again.
I always love your fajita analogy. It is. It's the sizzle of the fajita.
I mean, sometimes you get a good fajita, but sometimes you're like, hey, where's all the meat on this bad boy?
But you know what it is? I'll be honest. We can't say that we don't get, I guess, fooled by, Josh Allen. Because Josh Allen's been hyped up. Every time people talk about elite quarterbacks, after they say Mahomes, Josh Allen, I'm not trying to be rude, but undeservingly always seems to be right under that, right in that top tier. It's like, after Mahomes, Josh Allen. His name comes up, and, all right, cool.
Yeah, but again, because he makes some really cool things happen.
Yeah.
He takes risks. Those risks don't always go your way.
But
That's the
Josh
thing.
Allen, cool, likable franchise quarterback, great fan base. Cool uniforms. They play in the cold weather in Buffalo. There's so many things that make you buy into the Buffalo Bills, right? Because
You also
especially
buy into the fact that Allen's a gamer. He's a tough guy that can make things happen. You buy into his leadership. You buy into that dude. And again, maybe it's just all sizzle. Or as simple as what Dan said. They just play to the level of their competition. That's a bad quality trait.
dude,
For a person and for a team.
Forget my dumb dating analogy. Look at other sports. And we said before the Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas analogy, where the whole time when we were kids, the perspective wasn't, well, Buster Douglas is whooping his ass. It's, Mike Tyson can't lose. It's Mike Tyson. We're looking at the Buffalo Bills like, they're going to make the playoffs. It's Buffalo. Are they? You sure about that?
Oh, a lot
Sure
of those
about
games,
that?
a lot of those games that we went over could go either way, if DB is right and they do step their game up, and we've seen them do it. The reason they're
Yeah.
5-5 is because 1 minute they're hot, they're like Anthony Davis. You want to keep going with analogies? You just don't know what you're going to get with the guy. One game he's hot, one game he's not. So it's the same thing with the Bills. They're very inconsistent. If they're able to get on track, stay on track, win some of those big games you're supposed to win, now you're 10-7 in the playoffs.
Still in a very, very,
I'm giving them a 10-7.
very crowded AFC where, Buffalo at 5-5. Let me just throw a few teams at you.
Well, let me throw a few things at you, too.
Again, throw at you?
No, I'm going to throw something at you because it is perspective,
Yeah.
right? We're looking at it like the Bills are supposed to win. The Broncos are playing better. They just beat the Chiefs. They just beat the Bills. And, again, we're looking at it like, man, we're still looking at it from the perspective of Russell Wilson ain't the Russell Wilson he used to be. And that's been the storyline for about a year now, right? Over a year now. Like, man, he's done. But according to the stats, and I got this from the Herd today, he's number 2 in TD to interception ratio, and he's number 4 in overall passer rating.
You know,
He's moving well. He's making plays. He's playing somewhat like the old Russell Wilson. So they're not as bad as we thought they were last year.
well,
let's say.
I mean, listen, while they have a tough schedule, Dan Byer said it best moments ago, you could see the Bills maybe hanging with some of those good teams because it's the NFL and anything could happen. If you would have said the Broncos were going to beat the Chiefs and the Bills,
right.
you would have said, come on, you get out of here. Yeah, sure, they're going to beat the Chiefs and the Bills. So anything could happen in the NFL. And listen, it's all sports. Look at your Yankees. What happened all year? People were just waiting for them to turn around like, oh, they got too much talent and they spend so much money. The Yankees will turn it around. Sometimes you just don't turn it around.
Yeah, it just never happened.
It just doesn't happen. It's not your year. You don't turn it around. So